a bit. I'd forgotten about it until I was talking to a friend today in England about it, and it also came up on Facebook last week. Someone was talking about the whole concept of the sacred hermaphrodite and stuff like that. Now, this may piss people off, but I'm just telling you what the evidence suggests. Firstly, I don't have any problem with someone who is transgender or has gender assignment and corrective surgery as an adult for the right reason, because absolutely the science is solid that some people are born male but are female, and are born male but female but are male. And they have corrective surgery, and it does help those people. And there's definitely a real thing there. So, but because we live in a world fueled by mental illness and psychopaths, and that extends to the spiritual elements of things, it's important we understand the full implications of gender assignment and correction, and that includes the spiritual elements of it. And this is important. I am unaware of any transmigrative culture or a culture or spiritual tradition that deals in reincarnation, that holds fast to the idea that in one life you're a man, and in one life you're a woman, in one life you're a woman, and the next life you're a man, that you switch genders as you're reincarnated. From the Druids to most Hindu schools, Vedic schools, to everything else dealing with the pagan stuff we know, including people who have done credible past life uh, exercises. You're always born the same gender you were in the next life. There was a very famous case in Ireland in the 80s of an English woman who was it was a beautiful case of reincarnation, where she came back in another life and found her family and children in Malahide in Ireland, a town in North County Dublin, and it was covered all over the world's media. And she absolutely was one of these cases that proved reincarnation. She was a woman in the previous life and she came back as a woman. Among the Druids, you come back as the same gender. It's always been like this. This would suggest, and it makes perfect sense, that at your essence, as a person, you are either male or female. And of course, biology can make mistakes, and you might find yourself trapped in the wrong gender, but it's very, very rare. Okay. Now, if you look at the pagan gods and goddesses, they're divided by genders. And the same with the Vedic gods and goddesses. Kali and Shiva are male and female and male. This is because that's represented all through nature. There's a male and a female. There's only two genders. Now, there's people who say there's all these different genders. They're wrong and they're mentally ill. There's no spectrum of gender. There's only male and female. And this thing that's been pushed upon people, that you're a mixture of different genders, is to an extent true, and I'm going to explain why. But in terms that your very essence, you're a man or you're a woman. That's biologically, it should be, but at your psyche and at your spiritual element, you're a man or a woman. You'll be born in the next life a woman if you're a woman in this one, and your last life you were a woman. Same with a man. Now, regardless of needing gender surgery, your essence, your interior. Now, we have a situation today where you have people, parents, forcing gender correction onto their children, saying, oh, he likes to play with dolls. He has to have his bollocks and his penis cut off so mummy can parade him around as a freak. Lots of young people in recent years have had gender corrective surgery because either through social conditioning, peer pressure, political correctness, wokeness, or bad psychiatry have had gender correction, and are suicidal. Many have sadly killed themselves because they want to be reincarnated back as a man or woman, what they originally were, or have miserable lives because they wish they never had the gender corrective surgery. That's because this is a form of extreme black magic. For another person to impose a gender identity on another human being is as black magic as you can get. And for a parent to impose gender identity on a child is extreme black magic. It's, you hear all these morons going about, I sacrifice children and stuff like that. What the fuck do you think that is? So these parents who raise their kids gender neutral and then they decide that the kid is 5 or 6, if he's a boy or a girl, these are extremely evil people, and they're not to be tolerated as wise or open-minded or progressive. They're consorts of the jinn. They really are destroying their children. Now, no one should make that decision until they're in their late teens, because with the hormonal changes and everything going on, you don't fully know yourself as a person until you hit around 19, 20, 21. So I think there's minimum age for having gender corrective surgery should be 18. At the very minimum now. I prefer it was 21, but it should be 18. And this should not, I have fallen out with people who were actually transgender and and LBGQ because they started pushing this nonsense that little kids don't know whether boys or girls, that they picked up in horrible magazines like, well, Pink News used to be just a magazine for gay people. Now it's all about social engineering, and I just stopped. I just lost interest because it says you cannot be telling say that a 3-year-old kid doesn't know if they're a boy or a girl or a drag queen. This is kind of nonsense. Now, let's talk about at different points in your life, you will be a man or you will be a man who has a lot of feminine qualities in them, or a female with a lot of masculine qualities in them. And there's a reason for that. It's to compensate. We both have an anima and animus. And to be all manly all your life without a female element to you, you have not correctly balanced your anima and animus. That's what the Lover's card in the tarot was really about. And the same, if you're a female and you've never done the masculine side, you'll always have a problem. This is why you have these Pollyannas are all like all lost. Their heads are lost in space. Now, and also these hard men, they're the biggest cowards of all. The ones you see walking around the most face masks at the moment are the ones with the big muscular, those types. The big hard men, the biggest cowards. I'll give you an example. A woman is raising 2 or 3 kids. The husband either dies or leaves with another woman, or he's abusive and the marriage falls apart. A single mother has to then take on the attributes of the animus, the masculine qualities within her, in order to perform the role of the male parent who's not there. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's completely healthy, actually. It's very healthy. And likewise, especially if she's raising a boy, her job is to raise a man. So she will develop elements within her essence inside herself, which will have stronger male aspects to her, the dynamics of her personality that weren't normally there. And that's because she has to be the father figure to a degree with the son and the daughters of the husband who's no longer there. The same thing applies to a man who's raising daughters. Maybe his wife died. He has to adopt a more anima element to his psyche so as to help raise the daughter in a way that's better for her and for him and his relationship and the entire dynamic of the family. This compensation is a beautiful thing when you think about it. Then usually when the kids grow up and leave home, the woman who's had to indulge her animus in order to look after children, as compensate for no male figure, she will very often then return to more feminine. And these women tend to age very well. You'll find that when the kids leave home, she'll start looking very young again, because not the female elements of her psyche start coming to the fore. And then with that, she has a rush of hormonal releases from her brain, such as estrogen. And people were saying, God, you look great, ever since the kids left. And she'd be joking, saying, oh, I'm glad to be rid of them. I now got my freedom back. But she's really now concentrating back on being female again. She doesn't have to compensate anymore. And the same will happen with the fellas who are raising daughters on their own. When the girls grow up and get married and move on or go to college, he might start doing more manly and masculine things like fishing and hunting and martial arts and maybe race cars, and or even like traditional hobbies like that men do, like building models and stuff that he didn't do, paintballing, things like that he didn't do when he was raising girls without a mother. And that's the beauty of the psychology of the human mind, and how it works with the psychic self to compensate. So the ultimate essence of the person is either male or female and nothing else. But there are fluctuations where they talk about the gender spectrum. Is not that It's not biological, it's compensatory in terms of the psychology and the behavior that's enacted in order to survive in certain conditions, to deal with life changes. But they're not biological so much, or they're definitely not sexual. What they are is they're in the psyche, they're in the mind. So what happens is what happens to these fashionable upper middle class parents who decide that 3-year-old Tad is now going to be 3-year-old Stacy because he plays with dolls, is they don't fully understand the dynamics of their own psyche. And they're because the little boy is playing with dolls, they think, oh, he's really a girl trapped in a boy's body. And then they go and they proceed to program, attempt to program a very impressionable child that he's not a little boy, he's really a little girl. And then there's an entire psychiatric, physical, and scientific fraud system. They're from everyone from Bill Nye all the way to someone who just graduated from the American Association of Psychiatric Association, to drug manufacturers who will start saying, "Oh, he's really a girl. He's really a girl, and you're a hero for helping him. You saved him." And in some cases, you'd have parents that are not evil, but they're doing an evil thing, that they think they're actually going to help the life of their child by having his penis and his testicles cut off and a vagina made there. And this is black magic. This is child sacrifice. Okay. Now we have the concept also of the sacred hermaphrodite. Yes, as your essence through most of your life, you're male or you're female. At your essence, it always will be, from this life to the next life. However, as you round out life towards the end, men start producing testosterone to the same degree, and women stop. This is called the xenic in the male, and then the female stops producing estrogen, and the two hormones balance out in the male and female. So the woman towards the end of her life becomes kind of masculine, and the man towards the end of his life becomes kind of female. And if you put them in an old people's home and you look at the old OAPs and hide their hair and put them on in white, you couldn't tell a man from a female, because they have reached at the end of their life the sacred hermaphrodite. And their life is now rounding out towards individuation. Then they die and they're reborn again as what they were in the previous life at the start, a man or a woman. And that's where the sacred hermaphrodite comes from. The fulfillment of consciousness through the course of your life, through this learning experience we call life. But will always be male and female, and there'll always be two genders. And to say there's no more than two genders is not only a violation of natural law, it's an absolute violation of spiritual law as well. And you will never ever have someone who transgenders into another gender unless they were born in the wrong gender, which does happen. I'm talking about physically, biologically now. They won't ever be happier. And this is the great danger of these days. That children should not be allowed to decide what gender they are. If they're born a boy and they're physically a boy, raise them as a boy. And the same with a girl. If something happens in later life that makes them believe that they sincerely and they follow all the protocols that they probably were a boy or a girl, and they're born in the wrong biological gender, by all means, corrective surgery is fine then. But if you're watching this video and you have yourself or a child or someone you know who's having doubts about their gender, you better discover really quickly if that is coming from the soul or is coming from society. Because I got news for you. One is salvation and the other one is annihilation. Thank you.